The one Celtic fans view. Starting a little bit earlier than we spoke about this morning. We are starting a little bit earlier. There is a little bit of Celtic information going about this. There is a little bit of Celtic information kicking around that you might find interesting. Quite a few people on the chat. If you are on the chat, make sure you hit the thumbs up. And I'm just going to share this onto the land of Twitterati. I refuse to call it Elon Musk's little pet project. Oh, here we go. There's another bit of... This has just happened, this one. This is a player that Celtic were interested in. Evan Ferguson to West Ham. Here we go. Verbal agreement is in place. Parties involved the green light to go from Brighton. Evan has been authorised to undergo a medical this afternoon. So that's another one that Celtic look to have lost out on. Evan Ferguson. There was a lot of talk about him coming to Celtic, but it is not going to happen. It is not going to happen. So that's another one that Celtic have missed out on. Let's talk about something positive. I was looking at the quote after Alex Valle left. Says Fabregas spoke about Celtic and the good work that Alex Valle did at Celtic. He went on to say Alex Valle is a product of Barcelona's esteemed La Misa Academy after joining back in 2014. He made his debut for Barcelona B team back in March 2022. Since then, he's gained valuable experience on loan to Andorra and Levante. And then he joined Glasgow Celtic on a season-long loan, making 11 appearances, registering 3 assists. Fabregas says that the young talented defender who is on loan until the end of the season with no option to buy, as many in Scotland believe that there is, but there's not. Barcelona want him back. He goes on to say, he gained valuable experience during his loan at Celtic, and it's helped his ability and the fact that he's going to contribute to them. So that's a young one, Alex Valle. But the big breaking news that you really want to be hearing about is the fact that West Ham have made a bid in the region of £500,000 to sign Celtic striker Daniel Cummins in this window. I said that would happen. I said that the Daniel Cummins one would be sorted one way or another this window. So there's a couple of bits of things going about. There's nothing, I think, that the way that Celtic are playing their cards close to their chest, it's going to be deadline day bedlam. It is going to be deadline day bedlam. I think from 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon onwards is the watch times. If you remember, we got a couple of players in the summer, very, very last minute. It looks like we're going the same way with this window, which is unbelievable when you think about what really needed to be done in this window. But it looks like the youngster who made his appearance in the Champions League the other night, Daniel Cummins, West Ham have made a bid in the region of £500,000 to sign the Celtic youth player. And it looks like that deal will be done and dusted before tomorrow afternoon. They want to do a deal with Celtic before tomorrow's deadline to get the young player in, which is fine. It's another one that bites the dust. I was looking at a couple of comments. There's another one. The striker that we're meant to be after, coming from Zagreb, that one might still happen. But there's a lot of negativity about the window, including myself. I mean, it's hard to be excited about this transfer window. But when you look at the academy, and what it's brought through over the years, the academy, you would think, does it give good value for money? Does it really give you good value for money? And when you look at it, the cost of running the academy is roughly about $2 million a year. We sold Aidan McGeady for $12 million. He was the first big sell from the academy in a long, long time. And then there was Kieran Tierney for $25 million. There's been various young players have left the club for payments for development fees of around 400 to 600,000. Does that cover the cost of what. It's just James McFadden talking about Motherwell. I'm trying to get any updates that come in on Celtic, but James McFadden's talking about what's going on at Motherwell. When you look at it, we've had players that have came through the academy. We've had Forrest, McGregor, McManus. You could even say our assistant manager came through the academy. So you've got to start looking at the positives of the academy. And we know that it's difficult when there's so many of these youngsters wanting away, that the academy hasn't been a complete disaster. And I think, we have to put out, and yes, I do. I mean, it is up to people like me that get the conversation going. But I think that when you look at it, it's not been a complete disaster. Daniel Cummins is going to a mark of 500,000. West Ham, he's going to West Ham. It's along the sign. West Ham bid 500,000 to sign Daniel Cummins. It is along the bottom of the screen. Don't forget Bosun Lawwell for about 3 million. Yeah, exactly. But Bosun Lawwell, he was brought into the academy. He didn't originate from the players that I'm talking about that came through it. You can see Ida coming off in 60 minutes and Jota coming on for Maida moving into no AR. I think you'll see Johnny Kenny coming on for Adamida. Don't think that the manager will move Maida into that central position. You're going to see Johnny Kenny coming on for Adamida and going in the striker role. You're not going to see Dyson Maida getting pushed into the middle. I think Dyson Maida will come off, or Kuhn will come off, and you'll see the Jota coming on, but it's not going to be until about 75 minutes or something, just to give him some game time. I would take 1-0 today. I think we will concede today, though. Yeah, I think that as well. I'm just trying to see what McFadden's saying. Just talking about Callum McGregor's 500 games. Do we have a lineup, Baz? No, not yet. You're not going to get a lineup for another 24 minutes. James McFadden has just said on Sky that Celtic are currently coming out of this window weaker. He's in agreement with everyone. He's in agreement. If West Ham are taking a punt on Cummins, why the hell are we not? Exactly. But it's all about wages. It's all about wages at Celtic. We're not prepared to pay Daniel Cummins what he thinks he's valued, or his agent thinks he's valued. I think that Celtic really, that's a conversation we need to have another night, I think, about... And there's the stand that the Celtic fans will be in. Pitch is looking good at Motherwell, though. The pitch is looking good at Motherwell, so I'm hoping for some good football today from Celtic. Already booked. Hazel, good afternoon to you. So yeah, the breaking news this morning is West Ham have put in a bid of 500,000, in the region of 500,000, to sign Daniel Cummins. Paul Bear says, we all know they're weaker. Yeah, we are weaker, but I think that when you look, we are weaker, but we need to talk up the academy, because I think the academy is getting a bit of a doing, and people, and people including myself. I mean, what is the point of the academy? We need to start doing something. But when you look at the positives of what the academy has done over the years, it's very hard for a club like Celtic. This transfer window has been beyond the disgraces, Celtic 1888. I'm not going to disagree with anybody when it comes to this window. It's not been the best window for a long time. What's breaking the transfer record news, Baz? The breaking transfer news, read it along the bottom. Daniel Cummins is leaving. Daniel Cummins, there is a bid in. And the Man United left back may be still coming to Celtic. I'd watch that one closely as well. There's still talks ongoing with Man United and Celtic for the left back that was going to go to Benfica, and that fell through. Evan Ferguson is in West Ham are in advanced talks with Evan Ferguson. Negotiations are progressing to get the deal done. Straight loan deal from Brighton. So that's an interesting. That's one that Celtic fans were speaking about a couple of, and it's a done deal now. Verbal agreement is in place with all parties. From green light from Brighton. Evan has been authorised to undergo medical later this afternoon. The loan deal until June. Salary covered by West Ham. So there you go. That was one that some of the Irish Celtic fans were wanting to get done for Celtic, but he has went somewhere else. So the list of potentials that Celtic may be after is decreasing day by day, which is unfortunate. Recruitment should be the same wage as unemployment benefit. That's not going to happen. Just give Brøndby the asking price. The thing is, Dave, Brøndby do not want to lose their striker in the mid-season. And unlike Celtic, who were prepared to just let the player go, they're standing their ground, and they've stood their ground for a while now. I think that if Matthias really wanted to come to Celtic, if he really wanted the move, players can push a deal on. And I'm not too sure that the Matthias Christgarden is 100% wanting to come to Celtic. Because when players want a move, Kyogo done it. Kyogo did it. He pushed the move. Is it 11 p.m. tomorrow night the window closes? Yes, 11 p.m. Celtic Park's time, 12 o'clock European time. The board have not backed Rodgers this transfer market. Shame on them, says Anthony. There was another comment said, can anyone remember the last transfer window where the manager was not backed in the way that he thought? Right. I think that the manager coming out saying that there's a lot going on in the garden. I said before that it doesn't seem to want to come here. I think you're right. If he really wanted to come to Celtic, he would make that move happen. Players can say, no, I want to go to Celtic. I want to go somewhere else. There's lots of deals getting done today. It's not as if the transfer market is closed today. I mean, there's lots of deals. You see it on the socials. There's lots of deals getting done. And the fact that West Ham have made a bid today for 500,000 to sign Daniel Cummins tells you that there's lots of business getting done. Let me just check this. All the talk today before the game will be obviously Callum McGregor making his 500th appearance for the club. He'll be one of only 14 players, Callum McGregor, to played 500 games or more for Celtic, which is an absolutely unbelievable achievement. And the other ones were Billy McNeil, 822, Alec McNair, 719, Paul McStay, 683. Roy Aitken, 682 games for Celtic. Danny McGrain, 681 games for Celtic. Paddy Bonner, 646 games for Celtic. Scott Brown, Bruni, 619 games for Celtic. Bobby Lennox, 599 games for Celtic. Bobby Evans, 580. Bobby Hogg, 575. Jimmy McNee, 516. Jimmy Johnson, 515. James Forrest, 508 games for Celtic. Callum McGregor's going to be like, Jamesy, I'm coming to take that title for you and knock you down a peg or two, which is fantastic. So that's the players that have played. The very few players, and when you look at that, that's a list of esteemed players that saw their career as pretty much one club, Celtic. And it is few and far between that we get players that want to stick around one club as long. I mean, we should be thankful that we actually managed to get Henrik Larsson to stay as long as he did. But I'm just going on about that with all the chat. And there's a lot of Bobby Baz, says Brown Warrior, well, if you like it. How quickly can things change? Total disgrace, the way that Celtic have dealt with this window. Players should be in place before anyone leaves. Yep. And Brown Warrior loves the Bobby. according to love the Maestro. Yep, Highlander, the Maestro was a man and a half. Now, the Celtic team will be coming out in around about 15 minutes' time. It'll be interesting to see what team Brendan Rodgers does put out for this game. With obviously all the speculation with regards to players. Bayern Munich relishing the hot tie against Celtic. Terms agreed. Terms are agreed with terms are agreed with West Ham and Daniel Cummins. Personal terms have been agreed with West Ham, and I'm not a giver in life, so I'm a taker. Whatever floats your boat, mate. Whatever floats your boat. Just call you Bobby Sucker. Well, I've got my kit signed under James Calmack Kyogo this summer. 2 500 game autographs. Yep, that alone, without the Kyogo one, these two signatures alone would make that top a very, very valuable asset in the future for people who collect original signed tops. And I hope you got their picture when they were signing the tops, because that adds a bit more authenticity to it and ups the value. Ultimately would up the value. So I hope you got your picture taken with the two players when you got the kit signed. And if anyone out there does want to get a potential bonanza one day, go out and get as many tops as you can get signed by James Forrest and Callum McGregor, and get them photographed, signing the top. Get them photographed, signing the top, and you'll thank me for it in a few years. Trust me, you will thank me for it for a few years. Considering there was signed Henrik Larsson tops, went for hundreds and hundreds, some for even thousands. Anyway, there's a line that you and I just parted. It's Baz. Jesus. He'll help you, Baz. Says Tony Falconhoof says could be a 20 million player in 2 seasons. I agree. The fee, insane, really. I think when you look at the fees that are going around today for players, there are a lot of fees where Celtic could be in and around that market. But Celtic are obviously after a certain type of player, and I think that we're going to get, it's looking like that we're going to get the Man United player on loan for the left back position, just for cover until the end of the season. Either to score a brace today, Sutton would be 14 million in today's money. I think it would be more than that. It'd be more than that. Way more than that. We should pay today. We should pay for Mateus. Yeah, every player who signs is a gamble. That's a fact. Well, McGregor will be cursing you when he gets inundated with shirts and selfies. Yes, he will be, won't he? Just don't tell him I said it. Deflection. Celtic board taking Calmack's 15 gaze. The Celtic board keep them talking. It's not the Celtic board that are talking about it, actually. It's not the Celtic board that are talking about it. The main person that's talking about it today is Ken Ross from Celtic. And tell me who Ken Ross, without Googling it, what does Ken Ross do at Celtic? In fact, I'll just tell you. He's a stadium tour guide. And he's been talking about it. And he named all the players. He's the one that named all the players on Twitter. So Ken Ross is a fantastic guy to follow on the lands of Twitterati. He's a little bit of a Celtic geek like me and you, but he's the one that put up. And Billy McNeil, 822 games. How can anyone beat Billy McNeil? It's impossible. It will be absolutely impossible to beat Billy McNeil's 822 games for Celtic. I mean, you would have to come through the team now and be a one-man club. But you would have to come through the team at around about 16-year-old now. And the chances of Celtic managing to keep a player of that talent that came through into the first team at the age of 16, it's impossible to think about a player reaching such a heavy number of games, 822. I mean, that's just unthinkable in modern football. And that's the that's the number that Billy McNeil got to. Alec McNair, 790. I mean, even Paul McStay and Roy Aitken's total. I mean, Paul McStay was 683. Roy Aitken, 682. Paul McStay now lives down under in Australia. Roy Aitken went and made his money in Abu Dhabi or wherever it was, Saudi or wherever. He went and he was a coach in he was a coach over there before it was trendy to become a coach there. But he made his money way back there, over there, and he came back to Celtic as one of the tour guys or whatever he does now. He just gets wheeled out, doesn't he? So yeah, Roy Aitken, 682. I mean, can James Forrest and in reality, can James Forrest and Callum McGregor, get another 100? It's impossible to think of that. I mean, that's another 4 seasons. That's never going to happen. Never going to happen. I mean, they'll struggle to beat Scott Brown's target, 619. It's crazy to think that Scott Brown, who didn't come to Celtic until he's in his 20s, managed to play 619 games for Celtic. I mean, that's an engine, and it just shows you how good Scott Brown was in that midfield of Celtic. When you see all the midfielders that came along, Billy McNeil played like a big lassie at times. 3-1 Celtic, says Sean. Patrick's going for 4-1 Celtic. Billy McNeil, especially when you consider there was less games back then. And then McNeil, exactly, Monty, exactly. They only played about, you're lucky if you played 40 games a season back then. It's crazy. Absolute crazy. Because you only played each other home and away in the league. And it's absolutely mad. Wolves, Arsenal are beating Man City. That's the Women's League. Oh, for fuck's sake, Sky. Who cares about the Women's League? No disrespect to women's football, but it's good. It's not for this channel. It's going to be my favourite player, Jota. Is going to run amok my teams in the SPFL. Let's hope so. 1-0 will do me today. How many games did Caesar play before he won the European Cup? That would be the aim for Calmac. It must have been a lot. When I heard that we were still in for Matthias the last time, low balling them. I think the Matthias deal's dead and buried. Matthias one is dead and buried. Aramida for a hat-trick. Alex McNair, 641. Yep, Alex McNair, 641 games. I mean, realistically, I think that... Jimmy Johnson on 515. Bobby Evans, 580. You can see Callum McGregor getting that. Danny McGrain, 681. That's going to struggle. Calmac's going to struggle to get to the 650s, I would have thought. But you never know. You never know. Anyway, let's better get onto the Celtic page. And see what nonsense Celtic have put out. They will have put out the picture of the pitch at Motherwell. Away team. No, they've not. They've put out predictions. They're wanting Celtic fans to give predictions. Now they're fucking trying to steal my thunder. Celtic team news is coming, and they've asked for predictions. Celts predictions. And I'm going to read out some of the comments. This will be a laugh. Jota, please. 11 players to start for us. The same team as Villa, Dyson instead of Yang. CCV for Scales with Jota on the bench. I hope we don't rush Jota. Jota on the wing, Jota on the bench. Predictions: we sell Kyogo in the January transfer window without a plan to replace him. Predictions: Taylor Ida will probably get injured, leaving us without our left back and a striker with very little backup. Sack the board, Lawwell out. I was waiting on the first one of them. I was waiting on the first of them. 27 shots on target. And we'll sign Matthias at about half 11 tomorrow night when it's too late. Schmeichel, Jota, Scales, Trusty, Alistair Johnson, McGregor, Arnie, Bernardo. Oh, he's going to drop. This guy's going to drop Hitati. Yoto, Dyson and Kuhn. No, that's not going to happen. Jota and Paulo Bernardo, please. I think Paulo Bernardo may start actually, because he started the last time after Not making any predictions until I see the lineup. Ran to phone, now thrown phone at couch. Oh, Jesus. Am I getting a game, says Patrick? I think there's quite a few people. Sign a left back. For fuck's sake. Oh, I gotta love the and there's the pitch. They did put a picture of the pitch at Motherwell. From the Celtic end, as it was getting watered by, looks like water cannons. Well, don't want to click on Motherwell shop. Bit overcast at Motherwell today. Cameron Carter Vickers on the Celtic TV stuff. Team will be out in 5 minutes. 5 minutes. And we'll get the team. Let's see what you're saying in the comment section. We will sell Cameron Carter Vickers tomorrow and put a 30 price tag on Welsh. Don't say things like that, because you could see things like that is happening. How can we possibly protect the team when our board are selling players so quickly? Yep. It's crazy. Johnny Kenny should get a chance today. Paul, he will. He'll be on the bench and he'll be brought on around about the 75th minute is my prediction. 75th minute for Johnny Kenny to come on to make sure that Adam Ida is then wrapped in cotton wool. Is that we're in that crazy of a position that we're going to have to really watch Adam Ida, because that's the comment was true. If Adam Ida gets injured and God forsake say it. Say Adam Ida pulls a hamstring and then 5 minutes later, Greg Taylor pulls a hamstring. Oh my God. Bernardo's been off at the last few games. But we will need to try and rotate the squad, the very little squad that we do have. It'll be interesting to see what Brendan Rodgers does say before the game today. It'll be interesting to see what he says to that. Celtic, let me just do an update on this. I ain't even going to talk about that. There's the Daily Record are floating. Sevco and Celtic ground share floated for women's football. Not a chance. If Celtic go down that road, they can do one. Just cancel women's football. We are not ground sharing with the Sevconians. We do nothing together. It's bad enough that you've got fan media run by the same company. We do nothing with them. Jesus. Aston Villa suffer whiplash. Yeah, they did that. Well, just went on. Luke on the bench again, I bet. Yeah, Luke McGregor will be on the bench. Bernardo needs more game time. He does that. Danny Cassie, how are you today, mate? Scales will be staying at Celtic. Yeah, he will that. So Claire says Brendan will be player manager at this rate. What about a signed scarf for you? And tears to come. Tears. We know tears about it. Celtic should replace Taylor left back with young Pennis from Hearts. Not so sure. Stop negative thoughts, Baz. There'll be no hamstring, just goals today. Keith, let's hope so. Let's hope so. But when things go the way that Celtic make them do, think about back to when Kyogo went down with his shoulder at the beginning of the season and how quick we got in Adam Ida. And Diane's going for 4-0 Celtic today. Whoa, better get on to the Celtic way, because the team news will be out in around about 30 seconds or so. And then we'll get the team right onto the screen where Brendan Rodgers is. And the team news, the big anticipation for this team news today, because it's going to be a case of who is on the bench who's on the bench for Celtic today. It's going to be more interesting to see who's on the bench rather than who's on the team, because I think the first team pretty much picks itself. And I'm just waiting on this team coming through. It's out, Schmeichel. Ralston! Tony Ralston starts, Carter Vickers starts, Trusty starts, Taylor starts, McGregor, McCowan starts, Hatate starts, Kuhn starts, Maida starts, and Adam Ida starts for Celtic. Sinisalo's on the bench, Alistair Johnson's on the bench, Scales is on the bench, Jota's on the bench, Yang's on the bench, Narobski's on the bench, Johnny Kenny's on the bench, Arne Engels is on the bench, and Paolo Bernardo's on the bench. What is the manager doing? Oh, we're doomed. We're doomed. Oh my God. What is going on? Is the manager trying to prove a point? Is Brendan really just trying to prove a point that we've no players? Oh my God. I'm going to cry. I am going to cry. Jesus. I really don't know what to do. Wrong one. Oh my God. And there's the team. There is the team. Wow, Brendan Rodgers is gone and done it. He's resting Alistair Johnston. He's brought in Tony Ralston. Cameron Carter-Vickers starts. Trusty starts. Taylor starts. McGregor's in the midfield with McCowan and Hatate. Kuhn and Dyson Maida on the wing. It's a rough and tumble game. It is a rough and tumble game, but wow. On the bench is Alistair Johnson, Scales, Jota, Yang, Norobski, young Johnny Kenny, who will come on for Adam Ida later on, Arne Engels and Paolo Bernardo all on the bench. Tell me your thoughts on that Celtic team. Brendan, 2 fingers to the board again. Jesus. Brendan in total charge would not have to prove a point to the board. Johnson must have a knock. That's Brendan sending the messages. He's pissed off in the starting lineup. Only what the fuck is Ralston? Yeah. It's a decent starting 11, bar Ralston. 4-1 today, says Diane. Johnson has been off for weeks now, bars. Ralston will be fine. Let's hope it's a game that Tony Ralston has a fantastic one. Ralston for an assist. Sounds fantastic, but I would have had Johnson though. Yep. His team's not that bad. Johnson's been crap recently. Impact subs, yes. I think, my God, Rodgers was on the Swally last night again. That is an unbelievable team by Brendan Rodgers. I can't believe it. It's unbelievable. I knew that there was a possibility of making changes today, but those changes, is it a step too far? Motherwell are going to be fired up today. Motherwell have just parted ways. Jota will score a screamer when he comes on. Well, let's hope that it is a case. I don't want it to be the impact players. I mean, it does make the bench stronger. We'll put it that way. It does make the bench stronger. The bench. You look at the bench, you go, right, fair enough. You've got Alistair Johnson to come on, Scales and backup, Jota, Yang on the wing. Jota's going to come on before Yang. Norobski, backup, he's not coming on today. Johnny Kenny will come on. Arne Engels and Paolo Bernardo definitely will come on at some point at the later half, at the 75, 76 minute mark, maybe even 70 minute mark. I could see Engels and Bernardo coming on and take Hatate off and Luke McCowan. Luke McCowan's just getting game time. You've got to get him up to speed, and I think that it's imperative that we get him up to full flown, that he can manage a full game. He can manage a full game for Celtic, but that is unbelievable news coming out of Celtic. Going to be a lot more uncomfortable than I'd think. Everybody's shouting for McCowan to start. What's the problem? There's not a problem. I think the big one for me is Tony Ralston starting. It's clean sheet. Carter is back. Defo with a score or assist or two for Adam either. No Engels is a surprise. That's the big surprise for me, is there's no Engels or what the fuck are you on about? McCann is perfect for this mob. Rotation is key. I never said a word about McCowan. That says it was Ralston was the surprise for me. And yet he's arguing amongst yourselves again. Ralston is class. He's class, but we know his limitations. It could be that it's going to be a rough and tumble game today. And the fact that Motherwell are going to put on a fight due to the fact that they know that they have to come out. Engels, there's no Engels. He's on the bench. Should have rested Kalmak and played Engels. You can't rest Kalmak today because he's on 500 games. He's on 500. He's a 500 club today. We need to give Adam more opportunities, Baz. Adam Eder's starting today. So I don't know what you're on about. I'm happy McGowan is starting. Shame about Ralston. I think Ralston is the... Hell, Baz, how's everyone in the chat going to say Stephen Johnson? Wait till you see the team, mate. And then you'll get an idea. Looking forward to seeing McCowan playing. Yeah, I mean, McCowan's a cracking player. And I can understand why he's playing him today. When you look at what McCowan can do in the midfield in the SPFL, it's a no-brainer. For me, Brown Waller says, Alistair Johnson's been off for a few games, bounce back now, no shock. Ralston gets a shout. Yeah, it's true. And we've got to say, Tony is one of the players that have came through the system at Celtic and stayed. So fair play to Tony Ralston for that. Fair play to Tony Ralston. We need to get him back to getting a bit of form. Ralston gives his all for Celtic. What are you talking about? I've just like giving Tony Ralston a bit of fucking boost. Come on. Jota come on in the 65th minute and scored 2 goals. Ida will hopefully improve with extra game time. And Adam Ida scored in the Champions League. And Ralston is pish, says Liam. Ralston has his limits, but gives you 120. Yeah, he knows. Yeah, I know that. The team should win. No excuses, says Celt for life. Don't get the reaction to the team. We need to rotate, and that's what Brendan Rodgers done. No shock given the midweek game also. Yes, this is very, very true. Lanky says, McCowan is our Paul Hartley. Gives his all. He does, and it goes unnoticed. It does that. Scott Bain to score 2. Ralston's a squad player, needs to get used. Yeah, he does that. You're growing. What? What? Let's see what they're saying on the land of the Twitterati to that. Starting 11. And see what some of the other Celtic fans are saying. Jota on the bench. That lineup looks weaker than a vegan on a weightlifting competition. Can't wait for kickoff for that opener. Big Ida opener with McCowan. And then Jota to score. Jota on the bench. Super sub coming on. Yoto on the bench. Oh, that's for Yoto. Fuck. Villa Watch, hope you play better than you did against us, lads, says a Villa fan. See what you just did, Adam. Right, I'm going to big up Tony Ralston at this point. I am going to big up Tony Ralston at this point. And this will please some of you that are sitting on it. So just give me 2 seconds. Where's that image? There we go. The old band is back together. There you go. That cheer you up. Tony Ralston and Yoto back together. That's who makes the team and who doesn't he? Big Tony Ralston makes the team today. So there you go. There's a bit of love for the Tony Ralston lovers out there. And for Jota lovers, that's Jota getting under the arm for Tony Ralston. Anyway, let's get some more of the reaction to Jota on the bench. We are so back. McGregor rewarded for another start for a shite performance. Arguably the worst player of the season. Yeah. Why is Johnson dropped? We have a chance of Kuhn and Jota playing football in the same park. Come on, Celtic. Put Murray on against... where's young Murray? Narobski gets on the bench again. But you've got Dane Murray. So Dane Murray doesn't even make the bench. What does Paulo Bernardo need to do to get a start? Taylor has the left back thrown all to himself. Yes, and on the bench, and it's one thing we're not talking about. Brendan Rodgers usually likes to have on the bench a player for each position. All that we've got is Scales. So Scales, that's why Scales is on the bench, and Narobski, because they're both back up. Scales can cover the left back area. Rather alarming, to say the least. Johnson is carrying an injury. That pitches all bars. Yeah, it does. Don't care about the selection as long as they win. Bernardo ahead of McCown for me. Sorry. Feel sorry for Paulo. Yep. Adam Ida for an own goal. Because that was what his goal was the other night. Anyway, West Ham will loan Cummins to a championship team. And then Celtic make a massive profit. Yeah, they will. And that's the reality of where Celtic are. I mean, Celtic are getting these youngsters. They'll get these youngsters bought off them now for 500,000 the end of a transfer window. I mean, that'll be the third player that we've sold for in the region of 500,000 from the academy in the past 2 weeks. He will be the third player sold for the region of 500,000. When you look at it, the people that do the numbers at Celtic will be saying, that's a great bit of business. We've just made 1.5 million from the academy this transfer window. That keeps the academy going for another year. Yoto hat-trick. Just gets my back up the negativity here, and the guy gives 110%. Stephen, we'll get the picture back up just for you. We'll get that picture back up just for you. It's... the old mates back together. I think he's one player that's probably glad that Jota's back. Back for good. I just want you back for good. Anyway, right, let me see what some more of the Celtic headlines, just in case there's anything. Celtic transfer hint dropped. As let's see news, star wanted by West Ham. He's away to West Ham. What a stupid headline. Keep up, Glasgow World. Brendan Rodgers names his starting 11 to take on Motherwell. Jota has made the bench. Snoop Dogg wants to invite Celtic players to an Aces gig in Motherwell. Callum McGregor will make his 500th appearance today for Celtic. Callum McGregor looks set to make his 500th appearance today at Celtic take on Motherwell. Callum McGregor is... as he leads the team out today against Motherwell at Fir Park, another impressive milestone for the captain, who joins a selection of group of players who have reached 500 games for the Hoops over the course of the club's long and illustrious history. The Celtic skipper will be hoping to mark the occasion with 3 points against Motherwell this afternoon. Brendan Rodgers has made 4 changes to the side that played Aston Villa on Wednesday evening in the UEFA Champions League, with Anthony Ralston, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Luke McCown and Dyson Maeda all coming into the starting 11. There's also a place on the bench for the Portuguese winger Jota. Jota on the wing. Jota on the wing. Da, 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 da. There's also a place on the bench for Portuguese winger Jota, who returned to the club earlier this week and is the one and only incoming in the transfer window. Kick off at 3 o'clock. You can follow the build up at the match centre. The subs are as follows: Sinisalo, Johnson, Scales, Jota, Yang, Narobski, young Johnny Kenny, Arne Engels and Paulo Bernardo. So with that being said, Celtic, it looks they have lost out on Evan Ferguson, who West Ham now have. West Ham are also getting a young guy from Celtic, which is interesting. Callum McGregor joins an illustrious group of players who've played over 500 games, the likes of Jimmy Johnston, Scott Brown, Bobby Lennox, Roy Aitken, Paul McStay, Danny McGrain, Billy McNeil, Pat Bonner, just to name a few, and James Forrest, who's on 508 and currently injured. I am getting ready. Oh. Oh, there's a guy on Twitter. He hates Callum McGregor. He hates him. Most overrated player in this player of Celtic. Anyway, Calmac got a foul today. Yep. 4-0 Celtic. Give me your predictions. We're keeping the academy going for the good of Celtic and for the good of others to take advantage of. Williman says the new Euro League, no change qualification next year. We'll sure need to qualify. Maida scores today. Yeah, I think so. Board recruitment team sleeping again. Panic buys incoming, says Slaven. Panic buys incoming? I'm not too sure about panic buys incoming, but I know one thing that is incoming, and that's me to the pub. Yes, I'm off to the pub to watch football. And on that note, have an absolutely fantastic day. I don't know when the live will be right after the game. I might do a live from the pub. Let's see how that goes. If not, we'll do a live when I get back from the pub, which will take about 20 minutes to get back up the road. But anyway, have a fantastic day to all the Celtic fans all around the world. The big news is West Ham have bid 500,000 for Daniel Cummins. Brendan Rodgers will be asked about it all today before the game. Will be interesting to see what he says to the media. On that note, have a fantastic day to all you there that's still watching. Have a fantastic day, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world.
Lit. Roll up to the party. Roll up to the party. Roll up to the party. Roll up to the Lit. Roll up to the party. Roll up to the party. Roll up to the party. Roll up to the Lit. Roll up to the party. Roll up to the party. Roll up to the party. Roll up to the Lit. Roll up to the party. Roll up to the party. Roll up to the party. Roll up to the Lit. Roll up to the party. Roll up to the party.